As we discussed in the previous video, we must have two operations. One is a multiplication. The other is plus or minus inside the parentheses in order to use the distributive principle. So just like something, we have something, and this has to be times. We have to have parentheses, and we inside the parentheses we must have addition or subtraction. And so for pretty much for each pair of parentheses, if it satisfies this requirement, we have to use distributive principle. So in cases that we have two pairs of parentheses, then we have to use the distributive principle twice. So for example, if we have 2, there's nothing between the number 2 and the parentheses, so that means it's a multiplication. We put, say, 3a minus 2b, and then we can continue this and put a minus 4 parentheses 5a minus 3b. So as we can see, we have two pairs of parentheses here. So in order to get rid of the parentheses, we have to use distributive principle. But before we use that, we got to make sure it meets the requirement. So first of all, between the number and the parentheses, there's nothing. That means it is multiplication. Secondly, inside the parentheses, we see it's subtraction, and that means we can use the distributive principle. And similarly, for the second pair of parentheses, the number 4 or the negative 4 between the number and the parentheses, there's nothing. That means it's multiplication. Inside the parentheses, we have minus, and that means that's we can use the distributive principle. So when we do that, for the first pair of parentheses, we distribute a number in front of it, which is 2. So I'm going to move that 2 up and put on top of each term we have. So we do 2 times 3, 2 times 3a, which gives us 6a, and we do 2 times negative 2b, that gives us negative 4b, because 2 times negative 2 gives us negative 4. For the second part, we got to be very careful because the number we're going to distribute is not only 4, but also the minus sign in front of it. And so we're going to actually add a plus sign. The invisible plus sign is omitted, but we're going to add a plus sign in front of it. Or if you don't put it, just remember between them, there's a plus addition between them. But the number we're going to distribute is negative 4. Not only the number 4, but also the minus sign. So we put a negative 4 on top of each, and we multiply negative 4 and 5a. Negative times positive would be negative. So we're going to get negative 20a. So I'm going to go ahead and put minus 20a. And that plus sign, invisible plus sign, you can still put it here, but it can also be omitted. Because we talked about this before. If there's a plus sign and a minus sign together, and there are no parentheses, and you can get rid of the pretty much the plus sign, omit the plus sign. And similarly, we're going to multiply negative 4 and negative 3b, which gives us positive, because negative times negative is positive, 12b. And we cannot stop here because we always want to perform all the operations if possible. And notice that we have like terms which can be combined. So for example, we have 6a and negative 20a. They both have the variable a. So this is what we call the like terms. What's a like term? Like term means they both share the same variable. So 6a minus 20a. When we combine like terms, we copy the letter. If it's a, we still get a. And we're going to subtract the numbers in front of them. So 6 minus 20, which is negative 14. Pick this time the larger and subtract numbers. And for negative 4b and positive 12b, we pick this time the larger. it's positive, and 12 minus 4 is 8. So we got the answer negative 14a and plus 8b. Because these two are not like terms, we cannot combine. A and b, they're different variables. They're not like terms. So we cannot perform any more operations. We can stop here. The second type of question, we will put one pair of parentheses inside another pair of parentheses. In that case, we actually have to make sure we work out what's inside first. And it's possible to start from the outside and then inside, but it's not as easy as starting from the inside. So when we have one pair of parentheses inside another pair of parentheses, usually we work from the inside first. This way is easier. And a lot of times when we have two pairs, if one pair is inside another pair, we change the outside pair to brackets to make it easier for us to see which one goes with which one. Okay, so we can look at the example. So we're going to do 2 times 5a minus 3 times 2a minus b. So parentheses and brackets, for between the number 2 and the brackets, we know it's multiplication. And between the number 3 and the parentheses, we know it's also multiplication. For each pair, we got to use distributive principle. So it's possible to get rid of brackets first and then parentheses, but it would be easier to start from the inside. So when we start from the inside, we're going to use the distributive principle to distribute negative 3 to this parentheses. So we're going to copy everything else, 2 times 5a, and we're just going to distribute a number negative 3 in front of it. So put negative 3 here, negative 3 there. So we're going to multiply negative 3 times 2a. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6a. Negative 3 times negative b. And the number in front of b, there's not a number. Actually, it's one, invisible 1 there. So we can put negative 1 there and do negative 3 times negative 1, which gives us positive 3, and copy the variable b. And then we copy down the bracket. Okay, so now we can combine like terms. We have 5a minus 6a, which is negative 1a. We'll just put negative a because 5 minus 6 is negative 1. And plus 3b, because a and b, they're not like terms. We cannot combine them. And now we're going to distribute 2, because again, we verify there's multiplication between 2 and the brackets or parentheses. Brackets, treat them like parentheses. And we use different ones to distinguish from the pair inside. Now we put 2 on top of this and 2 on top of that to distribute. I mean, if you can remember clearly, there's a 2 that needs to be distributed, or negative 3 that needs to be distributed. You may not need to put on top of this. So we're going to do, but for those students who always forget to distribute 2 to both of them, you probably should put on top of both terms to remind yourself. So we have 2 times negative 1, which is negative 2a, and we have 2 times positive 3, that's positive 6b. And so these cannot be combined because they're not like terms.